So Ohio State has won the national championship, and along the way, they beat 6 of the top 8 teams in the country according to the final college football playoff rankings. Not their seed in the tournament, the rankings. They beat Oregon, they beat Tennessee, they beat Indiana, they beat Penn State, they beat Notre Dame. I'm forgetting somebody. Texas as well. The only one they didn't beat was Georgia, and that's because they didn't play them. Because, well, the team they beat in the national championship beat them early in the season. Hypothetically, Georgia won the game, though. Hypothetically speaking. So we're trying to figure out what's the most important play. What's the best play of the college football playoff for Ohio State? It can be all over the map. It can be something that maybe everybody remembers, or you can be weird like I'm going to be and pick something so small and find a way to make you care about it more than you probably should. Stefan, what's your play?
Yeah, I'm going very obvious answer. I'm going with the Jack scoop and score. And it's not so much as the fact that play, sealed the trip to the national championship. Like that's obvious. It's the fact that the one thing that's kind of lingered on this team is tight game fourth quarter, right? Everyone always says, "Oh, this is the type of game Ryan Day always loses," right? And people were starting to say that late in that Texas game. And on top of that, Jim Knowles has kind of had this reputation of they can't get off the field in the fourth quarter on a crucial. So both those things were lingering, and Jack came through and delivered. And it's why going into this game, when things were getting dicey late and Notre Dame was making a bit of a run, and Steven, you and I were watching the game in the tunnel over there, and we were kind of like, there was part of me that wasn't worried, because in the back of my head I was thinking we just saw them win a tight game late. When you had to make a play, you did. Jack made that play against Texas. Jeremiah made that play against Notre Dame. I'm not saying Jeremiah doesn't make that play if Jack doesn't come through, but there's this sense of just you got over that hump of winning a tight, ugly game late where someone has to make a play. Your star player has to make a play. And Jack did that. And I think there was this sense of going into the championship game like, okay, you got past that, weird hurdle. You got past that. A game that it felt like early on you should have dominated against Texas, and then you let Texas hang around. And it was just building to be the type of way Ohio State has lost so many of these games. And Jack comes through, and I thought just changed a lot of the narrative in those situations to where I think I felt comfortable late in the fourth quarter, even when things get dicey. So I think huge play because it won you the game against Texas, but also changed, I think, the narrative around Ryan Day, this team, late game situations. And I think next year there's going to be a game randomly that's late. It might be the first game against Texas when they open the season. It might be tight in the fourth quarter. I don't think we're having that conversation of, oh, this is how they lose, because we just saw them win 2 games like that. So this propelled them, I think, to win the national championship, and I think it's going to change the narrative moving forward for this program as well.
83 yards to the heart of Texas. Andrew, what's your play?
Well, Stefan kind of stepped all over it, but the Jeremiah Smith bomb for a couple of different reasons. Number one.
What game?
This one.
Oh.
I should have clarified. This game. Yeah, there were a lot of them. This game, the 46-yard throw on this sideline that essentially clinched the game. Number one. It essentially clinched the game. It essentially won you a national championship. Yes, they still had to make a field goal. They just kind of had to, just run down the clock a little bit. But that took it to 2 minutes, and you were able to bang through a field goal. And even if, you missed the field goal or whatever, Notre Dame's getting the ball back with like 30 seconds left. The game it would have been a miracle of all miracles for Notre Dame to even tie it. So there's number one. Number two, you mentioned the Jack play and kind of the narrative surrounding this team as if that, maybe had erased it. What was something else that Steven had said during the playoffs? Sometimes this team gets in playoff games, they run out to a big lead, and they let the other team hang around a little bit. And the other team comes back. And you mentioned, I believe, the Georgia game in that scenario. It would have been very easy for Ryan Day and Chip Kelly and Will Howard and everybody on that offense to go, you know what? We're not going to lose in regulation. We're going to trust our defense. We're going to run the ball again. We're going to get to 4th and 8. We're going to punt it to 2 minutes. I think Notre Dame had 1 timeout left at that point. We're going to punt it. We're going to pin them back, and we're going to say, go 80 yards and try to tie the game because we're not going to lose in regulation. And, hey, maybe we'll get the ball back. It would have been very easy to do that. And instead, they dial up a deep shot to Jeremiah. Instead, they throw the bomb. Instead, they leave no doubt. That is exactly the mantra that Ryan Day had talked about all season long, the players had talked about all season long. We had talked about it after the Michigan game. Why are they not using their best players? Why are they not throwing the ball to their best players? Well, guess what? The game came down to it, and you threw the ball to your best player. And you said, our guy is better than your guy, because Notre Dame, talked to some players in the locker room, they were very surprised, that, I'll just put it like that Notre Dame was in man coverage and they did not have anybody over the top of Jeremiah. Their guy, Ohio State's, was better than their guy, Notre Dame's. That is why they won. And to me, that play, it exemplified a lot, and it doesn't hurt that you just basically got to say, check. That's exactly why we won the national championship. So for me, it's the Jeremiah throw at the end of the Notre Dame game, at the end of the national championship game, because the jack play is going to be all over the DVDs that come out. Do they still make DVDs? I don't even know. The championship video that comes out on this on Amazon Prime or whatever, that's going to be the play. But the Jeremiah play is the play where I think people really started to know that it was over. And for me, that just exemplified a lot. So I'm taking the Jeremiah play.
I'm chuckling because I'm watching Dan Hope from 11 Warriors grab as much confetti as humanly possible. No, it's great. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to do 2, simply because – no, it's not cheating. I'm just making sure every game is represented. That's all I'm doing. Since you guys chose the last 2 games, mine is actually from the first game, but I want to make sure all the games are represented. Mine from the Oregon game are actually kind of the first 2 plays of the game. The first play to G. Scott, because it was a build off of what they did on my actual play that I'm going to pick when they went to a fade route. And it was essentially the same play they ran against Tennessee the week before that, except they added a wrinkle. And that's, hey, G. Scott, you're going to be open, so we're going to throw you the ball here. And then it was Jeremiah Smith on his first touchdown of the game. JJ's been one of the best players in the country all year. No one discovered JJ in the Rose Bowl, but it's the freaking Rose Bowl. And that dude arrived at the Rose Bowl. That is now the face of college football right now. Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, they're out the door. Caleb Downs, yeah, he's going to be out. But that dude that's a superstar. That's the dude who can carry something at some point in his career. So that visual for me, him running, throwing up the peace sign with the St. Gabriel Mountains behind him, running for a long touchdown against a team who they had lost to before, and he played a part in why they lost. There's just something, that's a bigger picture thing with him that I've been talking with him about. My actual one is very simple, and it's their first play of the college football playoff. And it's an 8-yard pass to Emeka Egbuka on a screen. Very simple. You didn't even get a first down on it. So why am I picking this play? Because I needed them to throw the ball after what they did against Michigan. And that entire drive, starting with that play, set the tone for how they were going to attack this thing. And regardless of how you felt about Oregon next, Texas, Notre Dame, I felt confident that, okay, they're not going to overthink this. Now, granted, in the national championship, they started overthinking it a little bit when they were running QB power like 12 straight times with Patrick Gerd on the field. And we're just like, what are you doing, man? But still, that play set the tone. Because if you remember, that's like a 5-play drive, 4 passes, and I called it an unnecessary run where you got 1 yard. So it set the tone for, okay, we heard your fan base, we heard your media, but more importantly, we heard your players. Because I'm guaranteeing you, I wasn't in that meeting, but I'm pretty sure some of the heated conversations were about the fact that why didn't J.J. Carnell and Emeka get the ball more? Why did we play scared? Why didn't we play to our strengths? These 3 should never not get targeted in a big game ever again. And what happened? They all had their games. J.J. had the first 2. Carnell had the third. And Emeka, I know he fumbled, but they really got him going in the 4th one. So that's why it's most important to me, is because coming out of the Michigan game where you saw them kind of turtle, no. We're going to throw this thing. We're going to do angry, aggressive Georgia college football playoff Ryan Day, because that's the type of team, that's the type of head coach that can win a national championship. Well,
So that's a good one, and I think it's the idea of it more, because, you said, at the end, they started to overthink things a little bit. I think we're in the Ohio State bubble, and the fans that are watching this are in the Ohio State bubble, so it's easy to say, they overthink this. I mean, go talk to fans of Tennessee, and they're going to say, man, whenever we get into this situation, our offensive coordinator always does this, and it really makes me mad. Or Virginia Tech fans, or Rice fans, or UCLA fans, or whoever. Fans of every college football program always have some problem. There are Rice fans. Have some problem with their offensive coordinator, some problem with their play caller, some problem with it. The Michigan game was on a whole other level. So I think that's a good answer. That might be the best answer because it exemplifies maybe what they came to do and what they plan to do. It was a statement play, even though it only gained 8 yards. It was, man, we're not going to ease into a street fight anymore. We tried to do that against Michigan and it didn't work. And we tried to out-physical Michigan and it didn't work. I think that's a good one just for what it exemplified for the rest of the playoff because it ended with my play that I picked where you throw the bomb to Jeremiah on 3rd and 11 when it could have been if we take a sack here, we're going to give up 15 yards. If we do this, they just decided, you know what, we're going to let our best players be our best players.
I am who I am.
I would love to see your play start the DVD. 8-yard catch.
Do they make the DVD? I don't even know if there is a DVD. Do people have DVD players? I don't think that's a thing anymore.
It's probably just going to be on Disney+. Plus.
It's on VHS.
We're not on Disney+. Plus. We're wherever you find podcasts. Get the text 614-350-3315. 2-week free trial. $3.99 after that. I'm going to try to kick the cafe. That's not going to work. We'll see you later. Hey!
There it is.
That was a good coworker. See you later.